On December 27, 2025, a fragile silence finally settled over the Thai-Cambodian border after nearly 3 weeks of intense clashes. Defense ministers from both nations announced an immediate ceasefire following a high-stakes meeting at a border checkpoint in Thailand's Chanthaburi province. For soldiers and civilians alike, this truce is a desperately needed lifeline after weeks of violence and displacement. The ceasefire halts artillery duels and airstrikes, offering hope to a region pushed to the brink. The international community, alarmed by the escalation, sees this as a critical test of political will and a chance to avert a wider war. Now, attention turns to implementing peace and rebuilding trust along a scarred frontier. The roots of this conflict run deep, stretching back more than a century to a time when colonial powers drew arbitrary lines across Southeast Asia. These borders, often mapped with little regard for the people or cultures living there, planted the seeds of future discord. Over the decades, these lines became more than just marks on a map. They became symbols of national pride, identity, and sovereignty for both Cambodia and Thailand. The legacy of colonialism left behind a tangled web of claims and counterclaims, with each side fiercely protective of its perceived rights. In 2025, these simmering tensions boiled over at the ancient Preah Vihear temple, perched dramatically on a cliff at the border. A gathering of Cambodian women dressed in traditional attire and waving national flags was intended as a peaceful show of heritage and unity. However, to Thai soldiers stationed nearby, the event appeared as a deliberate provocation, a challenge to their own national narrative and territorial claims. What began as a symbolic demonstration quickly spiraled out of control. Within hours, heated words gave way to gunfire. The border, once a place of uneasy peace, was transformed into a chaotic battleground by July. Military vehicles rumbled through jungle roads and the sound of distant gunfire echoed across rural villages. Emergency services rushed to the scene as casualties mounted, and the world watched with growing alarm. At the heart of the dispute lies the land surrounding the Preah Vihear Temple, a UNESCO World Heritage Site awarded to Cambodia by the International Court of Justice in 1962. Yet, the only practical access to the temple is through Thai territory, creating a persistent source of friction. Both nations see the temple as a powerful symbol of their history and culture, making compromise difficult. Over the years, nationalist groups on both sides have seized on this ambiguity, fueling public anger and suspicion. Political leaders, wary of appearing weak, have often used the dispute to rally support, making meaningful dialogue nearly impossible. In the digital age, social media amplified every incident, spreading rumors and inflaming passions. Politicians postured for domestic audiences, while both armies dug in, building fortifications and reinforcing their positions along the border. The situation grew more volatile with each passing day. The violence that erupted in 2025 was not a sudden outburst, but rather the tragic culmination of years of unresolved grievances, historical wounds, and mounting domestic pressures. For families living near the border, the conflict brought fear, uncertainty, and loss. With both sides deeply entrenched and unwilling to back down, the border became a flashpoint, setting the stage for a conflict that seemed by then almost inevitable. The recent fighting has left hundreds of soldiers dead, a somber reminder of the heavy toll that conflict exacts on those who serve. Families and comrades gather to mourn their loved ones, their grief echoing through military cemeteries and jungle clearings. The loss is not just a number, it is felt deeply in every community touched by the violence. Nearly 1 million civilians have been forced to flee their homes, carrying only what they can hold. Along dusty roads and at crowded border crossings, families search for safety, uncertain of what lies ahead. The mass exodus has created scenes of heartbreak and resilience, as people leave behind everything familiar in hopes of survival. Villages on both sides of the border now stand empty, their streets silent and homes abandoned. Families have sought refuge in makeshift camps, often far from the front lines, where they face new challenges, scarce resources, overcrowding, and the constant worry for loved ones left behind. The destruction is widespread. Homes, schools, and markets have been reduced to rubble by relentless artillery and airstrikes. Once thriving communities now lie in ruins, their infrastructure shattered and daily life upended. Cambodia reports extensive damage to civilian infrastructure, with bridges, roads, and public buildings left in disrepair. The challenge of rebuilding is immense, as entire towns must be restored from the ground up. Thai border villages have also suffered from shelling, with many residents returning to find their homes and livelihoods destroyed. The scars of war are visible everywhere, from shattered windows to burned-out fields. The psychological scars run deep, especially among children whose education has been disrupted and whose sense of security has been shattered. Empty classrooms and abandoned playgrounds are stark reminders of a lost sense of normalcy. The displacement is one of the largest in the region's recent history, straining humanitarian resources to the breaking point. Aid workers struggle to provide food, water, and medical care to the growing number of refugees, as international organizations call for urgent support. Cambodia has lost key border positions and significant military hardware, altering the strategic landscape and leaving some areas vulnerable to further conflict. The loss of equipment and territory has long-term implications for regional stability. Rebuilding trust and homes will be a long, difficult process. Communities must come together to clear debris, reconstruct homes, and restore a sense of hope for the future. The ceasefire is only the first step toward healing these wounds. True recovery will require sustained peace, international cooperation, and the resilience of those determined to rebuild their lives from the ashes of conflict. The ceasefire agreement, signed after weeks of tense negotiations, mandates an immediate halt to all military activity on both sides of the border. This means that all ongoing offensives, patrols, and artillery fire must stop at once, with commanders ordered to stand down and maintain strict discipline among their troops. The agreement freezes both armies along their current front lines, preventing any further advances or territorial changes. Soldiers are to remain in their present positions, and no new fortifications or reinforcements are allowed. One of the most urgent priorities is the safe return of displaced civilians. Thousands of families who fled the fighting are now waiting anxiously for the chance to go home, rebuild their lives, and reunite with loved ones left behind. However, this return depends on the joint demining of the heavily mined border region. Both governments have agreed to deploy specialized teams to clear the area, but the process is expected to be slow and dangerous. Landmines, a deadly legacy of decades of conflict, remain hidden beneath fields, roads, and even near villages. These explosives threaten not only returning civilians, but also livestock, and anyone attempting to farm or travel in the area. For returnees, the risk is ever present. Even a single misstep can have tragic consequences, making the clearance of these mines a matter of life and death for entire communities. Both sides have committed to working together to clear these explosives, a crucial confidence-building measure that will require trust, coordination, and transparency. International observers may be invited to monitor progress and ensure safety standards are met. The agreement also includes a prisoner exchange, a symbolic gesture aimed at reducing animosity and demonstrating goodwill between the two nations. Thailand has pledged to release 18 Cambodian soldiers who were captured during recent clashes, allowing them to return home to their families. This release will only take place if the ceasefire holds for a full 72 hours, serving as a test of both sides' commitment to peace and restraint. The prisoner exchange is more than a simple transaction. It is a test of trust and a first step toward reconciliation after years of hostility. By agreeing to these terms, both sides are signaling their intent to move from confrontation to cooperation, opening the door to future dialogue and joint initiatives. The success of these terms will determine whether peace can truly take root, allowing border communities to heal and prosper after years of uncertainty. Implementation will be slow and challenging, with many obstacles to overcome, from clearing mines to rebuilding trust between neighbors. But these first steps are a necessary foundation for lasting stability, offering hope that the border can one day become a place of peace, not conflict. The ceasefire is the result of intense behind-the-scenes diplomacy and a shared realization that continued war benefits no one. Urgent talks followed dramatic escalations, including Thai airstrikes that raised the stakes for both sides. Meeting at the border allowed military leaders to communicate directly and avoid misunderstandings. Cambodia, facing heavy losses, saw little hope in further fighting. Thailand, despite its advantage, faced economic and diplomatic risks. International condemnation and domestic pressures pushed both governments toward compromise. The agreement lets each side claim success while halting a mutually destructive conflict, Now the challenge is to turn this pause into a lasting peace. The ceasefire was shaped by the diplomatic efforts of major powers, especially the United States and China. Both nations urged restraint, Washington leveraging its alliance with Thailand, Beijing using its influence in Cambodia. The US sought to protect regional stability and ASEAN's credibility, while China aimed to safeguard its investments and regional ambitions. Their combined pressure created an environment where neither side could ignore calls for peace. While the agreement was brokered locally, global powers provided the crucial framework for talks. This episode highlights how even local disputes can draw in international players. The ceasefire's success is a testament to coordinated global diplomacy. This ceasefire follows the failure of the 2023 Kuala Lumpur peace accords, which collapsed after landmine incidents and renewed violence. The previous deal's downfall underscores the dangers of unresolved security threats and the fragility of peace without political will. Landmine removal is now a central focus, reflecting hard-learned lessons. A ceasefire alone cannot resolve deep-rooted disputes. Sustained dialogue is essential. The new agreement's emphasis on demining and trust-building aims to avoid past mistakes. Without addressing core issues, any truce risks being temporary. The challenge is to move beyond pauses in fighting to genuine, lasting resolution. The latest violence erupted in December 2025, with both sides blaming each other for breaking the previous truce. Thai forces claimed self-defense after coming under fire. Cambodia accused Thailand of unprovoked aggression. The fog of war and propaganda made independent verification impossible. The conflict peaked with Thai airstrikes inside Cambodia, which Thailand called precision attacks, and Cambodia condemned as indiscriminate. This escalation shocked both nations and the world, prompting urgent diplomatic talks. The ceasefire emerged as the only alternative to all-out war. The ceasefire's significance extends beyond Thailand and Cambodia. It's a test for Southeast Asia's stability. For ASEAN, a war between members threatens unity and credibility. Peace reaffirms its relevance. The truce offers hope for nearly 1 million displaced people, but recovery will require sustained effort and international support. Deep-seated grievances remain unresolved. The ceasefire is a beginning, not an end. Success depends on political will, transparent implementation, and ongoing dialogue. The region's future stability hinges on turning this fragile pause into lasting peace. The world is watching to see if Southeast Asia can chart a new course away from conflict.